Carl. He said David.
Let's go, Mayor. Yeah, exactly. Mayor? Good evening. It is 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. I'm Mayor Chris Martin calling to order a hearing for the budget, ordinance 2024-22. Councilman Morris, I'll let you lead the discussion.
All right. Well, I'll start off by just reading off the budget that has been published for 2025, and then if there's any questions, we can answer questions. But this is just a hearing on the preliminary budget. The final budget will be probably altered and passed on October the 14th. So the general fund, we have at this time the estimated revenue for next year is $13,963. The disbursements, as is right now, is $14,522,000, which is a net cash flow of negative $558,000. MVH has receipts next year of $1,927,708, and disbursements budgeted of $1,819,000 for a cash flow of a positive $108,000. Local roads and streets has receipts of $151,805, with disbursements budgeted of $120,000 for net cash flow of $31,805. Debt service has receipts of $286,000, disbursements of $303,000 for net cash flow of minus $16,754. Rainy Day has $726,000 in cash currently, and we've got budgeted disbursements of up to $300,000 next year, leaving it with a negative cash flow of $300,000. Union of Cap has receipts of $30,761 for next year, disbursements of $69,000 budgeted, negative $38,239. Public Safety, the lit fund has receipts of $2,158,948, with disbursements of $2,163,881 for negative cash flow of $4,933. Fire Pension Fund has receipts of $830,797 for next year, with disbursements of $909,504 for a negative cash flow of $78,707. Police have receipts of $451,730 with disbursements of $668,680 for a negative cash flow of $216,950. I think both of those are probably going to be adjusted. Been in conversations with Baker Tilly on that. So continuing education, receipts of $10,150, budget of $45,000 for a negative cash flow of $34,850. Seated fund, receipts of $1,031,000, disbursements of $1,029,000 for a negative cash flow of $2,000, or positive cash flow of $2,344. Non-reverting parks, receipts of $57,870, disbursements of $76,500 for a negative cash flow of $18,630. Non-reverting golf, which plug your ears, Dean. Receipts of $610,160. Cash disbursements of $942,307 for negative cash flow of $332,147. Baker Tilly always likes that one. But non-reverting grant, no budget. Non-reverting drug, or no income, I should say, in a budget of $4,500. I'm sorry. Negative or non-reverting drug is $1,500 budget. Non-reverting unsafe building has a budget of $17,000. Receipts of $4,200 for negative cash flow of $12,770. Non-reverting host community has projected receipts of $450 with a disbursements of $580 for negative cash flow of $130,000. Memorial Home Fund has no receipts and $39,000 budgeted for maintenance, so a negative cash flow of $39,000. Eastgate Plaza, no receipts, $38,500 budgeted for negative cash flow of $38,500. Non-reverting infrastructure, receipts of $200,000, disbursements budgeted at $123,000 for a $77,000 cash flow. Trash, receipts of $1,091,570, disbursements of $1,300,000 for a negative cash flow of $208,430. And federal drug has no receipts estimated and a budget of $2,500 for a negative cash flow of $2,500, giving us a total receipts of $23,956,959, disbursements of $25,480,710, with a negative cash flow of $1,523,751. There's the published budget. There'll be numerous changes to that, I estimate, in the next couple of weeks. And some of these numbers, I just set a meeting up today with Baker Tilly to go over some of them. I think some of the numbers are skewed a little bit, so we'll work on that. And then we'll be dealing with all the departments to talk about reviewing their budget one more time and then talking about the salary aspects of it. Any questions, any public comment?
Mr. That'll be all done by the 14th date.
14th October, we have the final reading, yes.
Any public comments? All right. Any council member comments? Pardon? Oh, sorry, no, I was talking to you. All right, I will close the public hearing at 6:08 p.m.
So you guys all got your budgets. One thing I'll do in the next day or so is I'll put your specific budget in your mailbox so you can review it on your own. That way, when we get together, you should be ready.
Maybe Paul would.
It does say 6:30 here, though.
I think it latched onto my calendar, said 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mayor, would it be out of line if we had some public discussion, just general conversation?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Jake, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but Jacob or Aaron, you want to come up and kind of talk about the award funding we got for the safe streets at all, or say anything about that? Or I don't know that all the council members recall. We do have that in the budget.
Yeah, I don't have, do you have the numbers there? I know it was 192 something. And then I think did we allocate 10% or?
Whatever 48,000 was, I believe it was 240
20%,
total.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
so-
20%, I think.
Yeah, and so that was for to develop the safety action plan through the federal Safe Streets and Roads for All program that we had talked about. And so we were awarded that funding. We don't know a ton about the mechanisms of it yet. They're going to go through the process and send us a grant agreement to review and all that kind of stuff. So I think when we get to that point, we'll know a lot more. But it is good news. We're going to be able to get
Is this kind of like the first go-around on this particular grant? I mean, as far as this, or?
essentially. I think they've had a couple of rounds of it, but this was the one that completed. Once we get this plan completed, then we'll submit it to them for review, and then from there we'll be eligible for different funding from this Safe Streets for All program. So, yeah, I mean, this will be really good for us. There are some aspects of it that I think will help us on a couple of different projects. So we'll see when we get the grant agreement, but it's good news. It's what we're hoping for, and can go forward, get this done, identify some of our more challenging areas and the opportunities behind them, and then prioritize them and go for the funding.
Can I bump you in there and again? I remember
Way more than that.
this, us just bringing this up, but in one of our priorities meetings, but you want to talk about the Rose Holman project at all?
That one's her.
Dave, I don't understand what they're talking about. What are you reading?
Pardon?
What are you reading? Can I see what you're reading?
It's I'll send it to you.
It's what we were awarded through the grant,
Yeah, this is just the email from the,
how much we were awarded.
A while back, Jacob asked us if we would fund the 20% match on this grant if we got it. We got the award. I just found that when I got
Basically,
back from
this-
vacation, and
It basically studies your streets in town, and we had to establish some intersections and different roads that are concerning, and so they'll be looking at those through the plan, which then opens us up to actually implementation money by having this
I'll send
plan.
that out to all the council, but I just saw it today and printed it off.
Okay, so what's the amount so we've been awarded $192,000?
To do this study, and then you put your match towards it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's $192,000 that you've applied for?
Now, we
Correct.
applied for 240,
Well, 240, but you have to make up your match, so.
match is 48 of that.
Right, so they already asked us about the 48,000.
Yes.
So this would make it, so then it would become $240,000. Okay,
Yes.
got you. Thank you.
Is there a list of streets?
So to talk about the Rose Holman, the mayor was approached first, and then the mayor gave them to me, but one of the teachers at Rose Holman talked about capstone projects that their students do, and was wondering if we had any projects in Logansport. So I kind of talked about all the different projects we had going on, and he picked two that he kind of thought were good capstone projects, one being Chase and Davis, and one being basically Riverside, so 6th Street, including the park area. You don't automatically get picked. We have to submit kind of a one-pager, and the students review it, and then they decide out of all the projects the teacher brings forward who wants to do what projects. So actually, both of ours did get picked from Rose Holman. What they will do is, these are engineered students, so on Riverside, they'll look at traffic with the redevelopment of that area. They'll look at a boardwalk trail that has been discussed as a possibility. They'll look at, now with that new Logansport Beach or whatever, is there something activation-wise with the water there? And then they'll look at the master plan for the parks for Riverside and do some constructional engineering for some of the shelters or the stage. So they will, that's on Riverside. Basically, they'll do a site visit, and then they'll come do a presentation to the city. And then from that, the stipulation is that you would have to have an engineer review their stuff. So this is their end of, college project. But if we have an engineer review it and approve it, we can use basically what they're providing us to move forward with the next step of the project. So if we wanted to do a boardwalk trail, or if we wanted to put up the stage at the at Riverside or something like that, we would have the engineered drawings to be able to submit that to the state and move forward. Chase and Davis, they are working on site development, so we do have kind of a master plan for that area, but they'll actually lay it out of how does that work, how does the drainage flow work, how does infrastructure come into the site, how would we have to build our roads, those type of things on that site. They are in the same, like, capstone, project, not the same, but like they will work with each other. So we did talk about how those can meet up and with the trail and connectivity and what they provide to each other. And so they would do the same thing. They would do looking at the site and then presenting their final drawings or what have you. Again, we can have an engineer look at that so that we can move forward with a portion of the roads or a portion of sewer and water, or whatever we would want to take away from their project, we would be able to move forward with. There is a little bit of cost to it, but the only cost to it would be the reimbursing them for coming to Logansport from Rose-Hulman. So that's about $160 for each group. So we're not looking at a lot of money there to provide them. That would be the only thing that they're asking from us, and then a waiver of any liability type of thing. So I've had a meeting with them, each group already, and so they're ready to dig in, and then they've gotten some of the master plans and some of the things that we already have on the sites to start analyzing and studying. So, anything else you want on that?
Did you have any questions for her? I thought that was a pretty neat, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, it was exciting because the teacher basically was like, you may not get any project picked, you may only get one, and then they chose both to work on, so.
Thanks, Aaron. Bill, you got anything you want to throw out while we're sitting there?
You're gonna look at it.
Saw you trying to hide behind him, or I wouldn't even thought of it.
14 minutes. Just off the cuff, a bit on the mall. If you've looked around there recently, a lot of construction going on. It's what they call phase 2. It's a $7 million upgrade, this phase. Where Five Below will be, which is just to the west of Dunham's, is completely gutted already. The new walls are up. Sewer cuts are being done. That has to be done the first week of October. So you'll see a Five Below pretty quick. The major work you're seeing over by the old Sears, that has started. That has to be done by January 1st. So keys have to be turned over to them by December 31st, actually. So major things going on. We're seeing the assessment out there go up every year so far. Things are going as planned. We have 2 spots left, and we're working on those.
So the old Sears building is going to be the Marshall store?
The spot to the left, the west, will be Marshall's, and then the spot next to it, heading east, will be Ollie's. Mm-hmm. Both are approximately 25,000 square feet each. So it pretty much encumbers the whole Sears footprint, mm-hmm. except the back of where Planet Fitness is. There's still a little section that they could lease out, but it's a very small section. Lexington Village, I'm sure you're watching that. There's been 4 permits taken down. One house is almost completed. The second house is pretty far along. Those are both pre-sold. The house closest to Home Depot is not a pre-sold, it's a spec home. It's about 1,400 square feet. There's already a lot of interest calling them to buy it, so hopefully that goes pretty quick. The 4th house that the foundation's being dug up right now on Mike Anderson Lane is also a pre-sold. So that's about a $500,000 house. So it's got to conform with the area though. The prices have been elevated, but a lot of it's interior upgrades, finishes, things like that. So 4 properties, my guesstimate on the first 4 properties are close to $15,000 in real estate tax. It's brand new, which is good to see. So 4 homes since March. I think we're making pretty good progress.
I was surprised, as the one you just finished talking about, I hadn't seen any of that until.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Wow, they've done a lot since I've been gone.
It's looking good. Back to Chase and Davis. I'm shooting from the hip here, but we have 3 developers looking at Chase Davis that I've met with, and they've gotten the initial plans we have. So any work we can do with Rose Holman, we can kind of work with these guys, or just kind of give the standard general plan, and then upgrade it at the end. But we got 3 people looking at us, so the hopes are it won't be farmland much longer. As a reminder, the previous council passed the annexation for that area. It'll take effect January 1st. So everything's
It's awesome.
going as planned there too.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
When are those new restaurants going to open that are, I forget what they're called, Dunkin' Donuts and Jimmy John's? When are they going to open?
Dunkin' Donuts opens tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So good question. Jimmy John's, I believe, is 2 to 3 weeks behind that.
Okay.
So I don't think it'll be a simultaneous opening, but Dunkin' as of September 19th is open.
Okay.
And I'm guessing 3 weeks on Jimmy John's.
Do you have any idea what's going in-house?
I do. No, it'll be a restaurant. It's a chain that's not very well known. If everything goes to Hoyle here, it'll be a restaurant that goes in there. It will not be a demolition. It'll be a complete remodel. So the building itself will not be removed.
Have they sold the building?
I'm not sure it's actually been sold. I know it's, the parking's been looked at. As you can see, they repaved it over the weekend, so I'm not sure if that one is officially sold yet.
Okay.
Speaking of HAPS, the old snack shack that you've heard about, we're looking for a Logansport location. So they want to move it to the city. So we're looking for a location for them. They've got the menu and the recipes and all that stuff, so.
Just quick enough to get HAPS back, huh?
Yeah, so we're working on that.
Nice.
Do you have ideas for where you can put that? Do you know what they're looking for? That's my idea.
We've looked at a couple locations. You gotta consider zoning and things like that. First couple didn't work out. We looked at downtown. We looked at out by Ivy Tech. Right now, we're snooping around the Burlington Avenue area. We think we may have found something, but if I knew, I'd tell you. But right now, we don't have anything yet.
Nice.
Do you have any updates on the 14th Street Marsh location?
I can verify it's definitely not a housing for immigrants. That's 100% inaccurate. What I can say, there's not a permit that's pulled yet, to my knowledge. I checked yesterday. Right now, it's just a clean out. The owner is looking to lease it. I've heard anything from Trader, what's it called? Trader Jack's, or I forget, it's like a flea market. I can tell you nothing's signed yet, and it's definitely not housing. It's not zoned for that. So Facebook thinks it's that, but it's not. It's not.
Hiring for these new businesses at the Junction, the old mall, how's that going? Do they have full staff at Dunkin'?
That's a good question. That's a struggle. I mean, our youth is kind of being saturated on all this new stuff coming and workers, period. For instance, McAllister's had to hire 60 people, knowing that half of them would probably quit, and that's what happened. Culver's hired 60. and they have 30. So it's this high school kind of game with the Jimmy John's and the Dunkin' Donuts and the restaurant industry, period. I'm a little concerned when it comes to Marshalls and Ollie's and Five Below. I mean, but it's always worked out. Our unemployment's pretty low, but these places are paying a lot, which to me is good.
What's your idea of a lot?
In relation to what they do, you're looking at, Walmart doesn't blink an eye at $15 an hour anymore. Aldi's just announced nationally they're going to be starting people out at $23 an hour. So that's the competition. So when you're looking at a Scooters or a Culver's or a wherever, you're looking at $15 plus to be competitive, which, yeah, you wouldn't be able to maybe support a family, but it goes a long way. It's a lot bigger numbers than I'm used to for service type industry.
Thank you, Bill.
Who are you pulling up next?
Did a good job, man.
That's good information.
Good use of time, Dave. Good call.
I think as long as you advertise it as a special meeting.
I can't stand it when they talk about these experiments. I said, I don't want to stand it when they talk about You just go like, doesn't do us any good to write them all down because he has them. Yeah. First, okay.
Oh, no. That's awful.
She was a text yesterday and said she said she didn't think she could come today, and then she said, I'm not a quitter, I'm gonna come on. I tried to take a shower. Well, I don't want to get sick anyway, stay away from me. Yeah, that's one thing.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. I'm Mayor Chris Martin calling to order the regular session of the Logansport Common Council. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
BJ Cox. Present. Chris Howard.
Present.
Cameron Austin.
Present.
Kaylee Zinsmaster. Scott Eady.
Present.
Susie Wamsley.
Present.
Dave Morris.
Present.
We will start with the approval of minutes for the special sessions August 26, 2024 meeting.
Mayor, are they in our packet today for?
Are they not in?
Yeah, the minutes.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
The minutes? Are they in here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Susie Wamsley.
Yes.
Scott Eady.
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Chris Howard.
Yes.
BJ Cox.
Yes.
Okay. For those of you who missed it at Board of Works, we're going to do this again. I want to debunk the rumors recently spread through social media. It's disappointing that we must address rumors due to the belief of a social media satire page. This is slowing down local government from solving concerns and challenges. At no point has the federal or state government asked us to house a minority group. There is no local government money being used for one minority group in our community. Local government officials don't bring people in to the community, nor do we have a say in removing anyone from our community. We know the concerns and challenges and are working on the solutions. The circumstances are being misrepresented, and we are gathering data, talking with community leaders, state officials, and are in contact with the governor's office. We are a diverse community and have been for a very long time. Our community is aware of many immigrants. We have one of the best collaboration of leaders in the state working on this, and we are doing our jobs to the best of our ability. I will be formally asking the federal government to assist our community moving forward. I'm asking that citizens, please refrain from false statements, especially those that threaten the lives of others. Any reports from committees, boards, and commissions? I'm looking at Dave. Did you have a finance committee meeting?
Before the 26th special session.
Okay, so we don't have any. All right. Hey, that's a first. All right, we will start with old business. Ordinance 2024-21. Councilwoman Wamsley.
Ordinance 2024-21, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, pledging certain local income tax revenues and approving forms of lease agreement and grant agreement. Second reading. I move for a vote on ordinance 2024-21.
Second.
Any further discussion?
We got Lisa Lee and Andy both here to kind of walk us through the agreement and help us with understanding, and if you guys want to come up and she said she was going to come today because Tyler cut her off at the last meeting. I'm just kidding.
Yes, thank you, President Morris. The ordinance that you have in front of you, what this does is it approves the form of lease agreement, which is the agreement. First of all, this is a build, operate, transfer transaction, much like you did for your police station. This is for the Dykeman Clubhouse project. So this ordinance, which was introduced at your last meeting, approves the substantially final form of the lease agreement, which is simply the agreement between the city and Shepler Construction, the provider under the BOT agreement, to allow them to be on the property to build, because you're going to continue to own the property. So the lease agreement is very short. It's just to allow them to come on the property and build the project. And then the grant agreement is with the Logansport Foundation, because the BOT installment payments are to be paid from the grant funds up to $3 million. And to the extent, the other thing that this ordinance does, to the extent that the grant funds don't come in on time and are not available to make some of the semi-annual installment payments, you are also pledging your local income tax just as a backup to that. That allows Baker Tilly to be able to actually market a different agreement we're going to talk about in your resolution, which comes up last, which is the participation agreement. And that would be between the city and a financial institution, most likely here in the city. I think bids are come back on the 25th?
Correct.
September 25th. So that bank will actually be the provider of the construction funds. So it'll be the grant funds that will repay under the BOT agreement. So this ordinance also pledges those local income taxes as a backup to the grant funds. So this is approving the lease agreement in the form of grant agreement, again, up to $3 million. I think you have another ordinance that you're looking at tonight to create a segregated fund of the city that will bring those grant funds over to the city. They can only be used for this purpose to repay the BOT payments under the agreement. So that is the ordinance in front of you right now.
I wanted to ask you about, in the grant agreement, I wanted to ask you about line 2 there, the payment terms, and what your thought process was on the wording there.
Are you talking about under section 1 or?
Well, it's in the grant
section
agreement,
2.
number 2 there at the top of
Section
the
2.
page.
The payment terms, foundation agrees to pay the remainder of the grant. So what's happening is, under number 1 in the grant agreement, there's a blank there right now because we're just approving this in form. Once we get towards a closing, we'll know how much of the grant funds are actually on deposit with the foundation. So they'll make an initial deposit to the city, to this fund that will get used for construction, and that's really kind of buying down the cost of the participation agreement. So he'll actually market less. So we have the guaranteed maximum price is the $2,009,000, it's in my ordinance, sorry.
2499.
Yeah, $2,499,457. That's the maximum guaranteed price. So whatever the foundation has on deposit for this purpose, at closing will get deposited in this segregated fund of the city. It'll be used to pay construction costs, and then we will borrow the remainder through the BOT agreement. And so number 2 is to say that we will continue after the initial payment, then the first semi-annual installment from the grant funds shall be due and payable on June 30th of 2025, and then June and December 31 of each year thereafter until the BOT is paid in full. And one of the things that Andy's trying to do in the bids from the banks is to allow the BOT agreement to be paid off as quickly as possible without any kind of penalty or prepayment penalty, so that if we get enough grant funds, we'll do kind of some chunk payoff of the BOT and hopefully get that paid off in 3 to 4 years. So.
And I might add, we did send out a request for proposals to banks about midweek last week. We'll get proposals back midweek next week. So it gave banks about 2 weeks to respond. I was sent to a number of local banks and then also some regional, statewide banks as well. I think maybe somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 different banks received proposals. We've had questions from several already, so it seems to be pretty good interest. We did ask for a maximum borrowing of $2.5 million, but currently would anticipate it should be more around $2.2 million. And then as Lisa mentioned, we did allow some flexibility in the proposals, so we allowed for banks to submit proposals with either a 6-month or a 1-year call feature, so the ability to start paying it off at either that 6-month or 1-year mark. And then we did also ask for proposals, either assuming everything would be funded at closing or the ability to draw the loan down over a period as proceeds are needed, just to try to minimize interest as much as possible.
So, well, I guess the question I had there is we had talked about how the money gets transferred from the foundation into the fund that we create. And, you know, it looks to me like you've decided on every 6 months.
Every 6 months, because that's, the BOT payments will be every 6 months.
Right, and then you're giving them a 30-day leeway on, a 30-day window on that. That last part there throws me off. It says, any installment payment made within 30 days of the due date shall be considered timely paid.
We can take that out.
Well, here's the thought on it. It's, I don't know how hard it is for the foundation to transfer their money into the fund, but it's harder for us to continue to have to appropriate money out of the lit fund and keep track of if we're allowing them to go 30 days past the due date.
Gotcha.
I
So
mean,
we can leave it on the, as the due date.
Yeah, I would like it to see it be that or
Okay.
something. Does that make sense? I mean,
It does. Mm-hmm. Any other concerns? Okay.
You're removing that?
Yes,
You're removing that line?
yes.
Okay.
yeah, and then the other question that I think Jan and I both had for you is the Parks Department, or the Parks Board, signed two amendments with Shepler Construction.
So the foundation is.
Oh, the foundation did, okay, I'm sorry, Jan. But, and their first payment was due the 15th of this month. So the question that Jan had for me, and I don't know the answer, is their payments are supposed to be net 10 days, correct, Jan? On payment, they want their payment within 10 days of invoice. I believe it's.
I can't remember whether it seems like 10 to 14 days somewhere.
So
Yeah.
they have this one and then another one on the 15th of October.
Right.
And, I mean, all of the things that they're wanting to be paid are in the bond agreement.
Right.
So she was wondering, should she go ahead and pay those or wait and,
Yeah, we have a limited, the two amendments you're talking about, or two documents, are the notice to proceed, and the limited notice to proceed, and the amendment number 1 to the limited notice to proceed, which authorized Shepler up to a certain amount to go ahead and get started to make sure everything was on time. And so, and we've confirmed with Brad and with Jan that the foundation has that amount of money
Yeah, they do have
available. So I believe, and I was going to talk to my foundation person at the office, but I believe that Jan will be able to just pay that out of the funds they have, and that just lowers the amount of the initial deposit
Right.
that will come over.
right.
But yeah, as long as it fits, Jan, within that limited notice to proceed,
Yeah.
then you can pay that from
And
foundation.
it all fits right in there. There wasn't any question with that. It was just, she asked me, what do we do? And I said, we asked somebody smarter.
Yeah, she can go ahead and pay it from foundation funds, and then that just lowers the amount that's
Okay,
deposited.
perfect. Anyone have any other questions or concerns? Or
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for question?
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Scott Peety,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-21 passes on its second read. On to new business, ordinance 2024-22. Councilman Morris.
Okay. All right, ordinance 2024-22, be it ordained by the Logansport City Council that for the expenses of the Logansport Silver City for the year ending December 31st, 2025, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated in order set apart out of several funds herein, named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of Logansport Civil City. The property tax levies and property tax rates as herein specified are included herein. Budget 4B, Form 4B, For all funds must be completed and submitted in the manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. And this ordinance shall be in full force and effect after its passage and approval by the City Council, and that vote would be taken on October the 14th of 2024. There's no vote necessary tonight.
So you don't need to vote on that, Dave? Next for new business, ordinance 2024-23. Councilman Petey.
Ordinance 2024-23, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana for additional appropriation of auction proceeds to various city departments. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on ordinance 2024-23, please.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Susie Walmsley,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Scott Beatty,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-23 passes on its first reading. Ordinance 2024-24, Councilman Austin.
Ordinance 2024-24, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, establishing a fund in accordance with the grant agreement outlined in the ordinance 2024-2021 for the new clubhouse at Dykeman Municipal Golf Course. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on ordinance 2024-24.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Scott Beatty,
Yes.
Susie Walmsley,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-24 passes on its first reading. Resolution 2024-140, Councilman Howard.
Resolution 2024-140, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving forms of build, operate, transfer agreement, participation and purchase agreement, and actions in respect thereto. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on Resolution 2024-140.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Susie Walmsley,
Yes.
Scott Beatty,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Chris Howard.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-140 passes. Any public comments? Anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for us, please. All right. Seeing none, any council member comments?
Will it be possible for us to get copies of all this when all the numbers are filled in? And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as the first thing we need to do is get the bids and choose the best.
Right,
And then
right.
we'll know interest rates, we'll know all those things.
All right, thank you.
Before execution.
And you'll let us know what banks, who's going to be loaning us the money, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Web finance meeting on that.
Okay.
Final call for council member comments.
I'd just like to take a minute to thank you for your notice that you gave at the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The city council had a member several years ago named John Shanks. We have John Shanks. His son is here with us today, facing retirement. His dad was a very active and involved city councilman for, I'm not sure, I think 2 terms.
He was elected, and then state board of council changed their mind. He had to step down.
That's when they took okay. Well, he worked with us all the time on there, but as a city council member, I thought several years actually, the fire department as well, so. He was a good man.
Yep.
All right. Miscellaneous business and any matters not already considered, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
There you go. Call for question.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Susie Walmsley,
Yes.
Scott Peters,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes.
BJ Cox.
Yes. We are adjourned. Have a great night.